I'm going to try to read 7 books in 4.25 days. Let's call it 5. You might be asking yourself, 1, why? 2, a quarter? 3, what's up with the sweater? 1 is last year I made a video where I read 7 books in 7 days and I had a delightful time, and it took me away from myself in a way that I found very productive. 2, I decided to do this idea at 8 p.m. on a Monday, and I'm going to finish this around 8 p.m. on a Friday. 2A, Friday, I'm going on a road trip on Saturday, so we have a hard stop, which will make this a little spicy in my opinion. Finally, sweater. I'm going to try to make this Halloween/fall themed, partially because Summerween is going on, which is a reading challenge started by Olivia Reads a Latte. I've seen a lot of booktubers doing it, and partially because I have a bunch of NetGalley arcs that are Halloween themed that I want to read. So we're here. I'm scared. Am I going to read something tonight on this Monday night in this sweater? I am. I am going to read something, and I'm going to read a graphic novel. I feel like graphic novels, while also being beautiful pieces of art and literature, they are also really a godsend for booktubers, book bloggers, bookstagrammers, book people on the internet who invent these challenges for themselves. And graphic novels really help us out in an exceptionally weird mood tonight. I'm going to read one of my NetGalley arcs. This book doesn't come out until November, but if anyone else is like me, and if you don't get to it when you have the mood to get to it on NetGalley, you're never going to get to it, which is doing everyone, including yourself, a disservice. So, I'm going to read Tide Song by Wendy. The only thing I know about it from the marketing byline, because I didn't want to read too much, is that it's been compared to the Tea Dragon Society, which is a book that I read for the last video I did like this last year. So, we love a full circle moment. Anyway, my hand is getting tired. I'm going to read this now. I wanted to do a nice little shot of Tide Song, and this was going to be like, ignore my dirty screen, this was going to be coffee shop ambiance music, but when I was putting this over here, I hit my power button. So already this vlog is going great for me. We're back, baby! God, freaking so bright. Okay. We're back, baby. I finished Tide Song by Wendy. 1 out of 7 down. This is a very cute little book, graphic novel. I now know what it's about, so I can speak about that. This is basically a middle grade fantasy graphic novel about a young girl who goes to stay with her great aunt and another one of her relatives in order to learn their family's magic, which is connected to the dragons who rule over all of the oceans and the seas. And she really wants to prove herself, and in doing so causes a lot of issues for herself, including having to figure out the mystery of a young dragon boy who saves her life. This is so sweet. It is so cozy. The whole point of these picks was to go with cozy reads, Halloween fall reads. You have that here. You have magic, you have family, you have literal visual depictions of like cozy little nooks and reading and hot cocoa, and at the very end of the book, literal little fall scenes with pumpkins and leaves. It was so cute. It was so precious. My favorite thing about it was honestly how the main character has a lot of imposter syndrome. She's 12 years old. She's figuring herself out for the first time and beats herself up a lot, and you literally see that on page. I found it to be really realistic and handled really well, and overall, I just really loved it. It was a good first read for this challenge. Now though, I'm gonna go to sleep, and we're gonna read so much tomorrow. Don't you worry your little pretty little head. Don't you worry your little pretty. Again, I'm terrible at vlogging and driving. Not that like my driving suffers my dignity, when trying to do this right and correct. I mean, like, my eyes are probably not even in the shot. My hair is greasy. I need to take a shower, but I wanted to go get some local coffee. I'm in the drive-thru. The other thing about this coffee shop is that they actually have a drive-thru, and I love drive-thrus. Getting out when I look like this to talk to another human, full body, not into it. Doing it in my car, much more into it. I used to see my high school boyfriend play music here when I was a teenager. Okay, I got the goods, back to half my eyes showing, almost home. Great, 10 out of 10 experience, like curly-haired barista. Latte. Hot. The guy, curly-haired barista, was like, "You want it hot?" I'm committed, even when it's hot outside. Breakfast sandwich. I'm at this point, I'm thinking that I'm gonna try to do the 2 books today. I'm in a randomly chipper mood. I had a depression day yesterday, so I'm on the up and up today. And so I'm feeling like, you know what, maybe I will read the 2 books today. At this point, I didn't know that I was gonna have to have 2 days where I read 2 books. You will see further confusion later in this video because I can't do math, even when it's this simple. It is my lunch break, and the books that I want to try to get to are The Bone Witch by Ren Shipeko. I'm going to listen to this on audio. It sounds like it's going to be great. I've heard a lot of good things. And I'm also going to read The Witch Haven by Sasha Payton Smith, which I have via NetGalley. This book comes out August 31st, so I need to get to it. It's the book in my NetGalley ARC list that comes up the fastest. So that's the plan. Both of these books, I believe, are YA, fantasy, witch books. Fits with the Halloween season. I keep hitting my nose. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm like 25% of the way through The Bone Witch. I am really enjoying this book. I didn't really know anything about it going in. I kind of like to especially go into YA fantasy without knowing anything. I think I will talk myself out of it otherwise. This book is about a girl named Tia, and we're seeing her life through the past and the future, or the past and the present. The past narrative is about how she accidentally summons her dead brother from the grave and finds out she is a bone witch and becomes the apprentice to an older bone witch who is teaching her everything she knows. And then the future or present is about this young mysterious boy bard who is talking to her, and it's been a few years since that. This reminds me tonally a lot of The Witcher, which is a TV show I love, and so I'm enjoying it. It's got this kind of like whimsical, dark, humorous, scary sort of thing, and I like that. It's like almost 6 p.m. and I'm really sniffly, but I finished The Bone Witch. I'm gonna have some wine, which I think is quite a cozy thing. But look what happened last time I tried to have some wine. Let's see if I can figure out how to get this off while telling y'all about The Bone Witch. So, Bone Witch. This is a YA fantasy novel. I explained what it was about, and I think I explained it pretty well. I'm a little bit confused over the plot. I kind of have a hard time following fantasy because I get distracted easily and I miss stuff, and I listen to audiobooks pretty fast, so that doesn't help. So I blame myself for a little bit of that, but I went and looked up like what I missed, and it was interesting. I went on Goodreads and looked up what I missed, and there were so many negative reviews for this book that were like highly rated, like had a lot of likes, and I don't really get it. I think it's just people who don't like slower reads and don't like apprentice stories. This isn't a super fast-paced book, but it's meandering in a way I really enjoyed. It had a really nice feeling about it, and I really enjoyed all of the apprentice parts of the book. That's actually my favorite part. I didn't really like the more plotty stuff, if that makes sense. It felt a little cozy, but also dark and intimidating. So, I mean, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Y'all, I really shouldn't be allowed to do things sometimes. I'm an idiot. Have you ever thought something was really difficult to do, and then you did it, and you were like, you're not smart? that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so it's 6 p.m. I'm doubtful that I'll be able to read a whole nother book tonight. The Bone Witch ended up being kind of a long audiobook and took most of the day. Don't think I'll be able to finish another book tonight, but I am going to start The Witch Haven, like I mentioned, and or if I'm really not feeling that, because it's another historical, like, YA kind of moment, I might pick something else up, like a romance. Alright. This is the thing I really can't do well. If I had more courage, I would vlog outside, but I don't. I live in an apartment complex, so that's not happening. But, unsurprisingly, I am not going to read The Witch Haven tonight. I still want to read it for this week. I just got done reading something so dark in a lot of ways, very death-ridden, and immediately in the first chapter of this book, it's like, boom, death. So I'm going to read something fluffy, and I'm going to read The Bake Shop at Pumpkin and Spice, which is the second book in an anthology series set in this town called Moonbright, Maine. I read the first one, The Cottage on Pumpkin and Vine, back last year around Halloween time. So this is going to be pretty fun. It's going to be like 3 or 4 different little stories, romance stories that are all connected to this Halloween-y sort of town. So that's what I'm going to read. I think I should get through it pretty quickly. I finished the first story of The Bake Shop on Pumpkin and Spice or whatever, and it was fine. I sort of liked it. Basically, from what I remember in the first anthology and so far this anthology, is that they're sort of hit or miss stories because they're written by different authors, and they're very Hallmark movie. A little sexier than a Hallmark movie, but very Hallmark movie. This one was probably my least favorite out of all of them I've read, including the other book. This one is about a girl who runs the bake shop. Her grandmother and her run it, and this bake shop has sort of magical abilities. These women have magical abilities to bake these cookies to help people fall in love, like matchmake basically, and it gets like more intense during the Halloween season. And of course, at the beginning of the book, she's like, I'm 29, I am bad at this, I've never been able to do it, da-da-da-da, and then magically a guy walks in, and he is a guy who's helping out his family in this business that is in town, in this really small town in Maine, and he ends up eating one of the cookies, and they end up immediately falling in love. I mean, immediately falling in love. This book moves so quickly. Everything just works out. Like, there's no stress. Like, there'll be miscommunication, but it's handled, and it's kind of handled in the most realistic way possible, or like healthy way possible. So there is miscommunication, work it out off page, which is kind of satisfying in a way. Anyway, I did enjoy it, even though I didn't really like it that much. There are times where I thought it was cute. I wish we got to see more of like the baker girl like baking in the shop and matchmaking and stuff, and more Halloween, but that's fine. I'm gonna read the next story. It's called Love Spells Disaster, and we shall see what I think about that. So I am barely into the second story, and the main character's name is Cassie, which is the hero from the first book's sister, who is one of the only other characters in the book. Difference being, the Cassie from the first book, her shortened abbreviation is C-A-S-S-I. This Cassie, who's the main character, is C-A-S-S-I-E. And I don't think they're the same person. Why would you name the main character of the second book a slightly different but exactly the same version of a main character from the first book's single sister? Okay, if I am wrong and the next clip is me going, oh, I'm wrong, I was fortunately right. It's a different Cassie. And this Cassie has almost the same hair color as the girl from the first book. They both have auburn hair. What are we doing? Y'all are supposed to be working together. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just finished the second story, and despite the fact that the Cassie thing really bothered me and I thought it was really silly, and some of the other details bothered me, I actually really liked this. A one-sided hate to love, which I sort of enjoy. about a woman who works in an insurance company, a very small one with just like 3 people in it, and due to her past wants to make her really, really boring boss fall in love with her. But due to fate and magical cookies, because this all goes back to that sweet shop, she ends up falling for a handyman who helps build this Halloween house in front of her house, and it's a part of like her tradition, and she loves Halloween. I loved this because it wasn't insta-love, and I love this because it also wasn't like as intense. Like, they end up getting together, obviously, and they have a lot of feelings for each other and feel like they could see a future with each other pretty quickly, but it's not like, I'm in love with you. It was really Halloween-y, and that's what I wanted from this. And also cute and cozy, and I really liked the main character. It's currently 9:17. I have one more story, I think, left. I'm trying to decide if I want to read it or if I want to start something else so I can get going on something else. What I'm gonna do is draw a bath and try to read the rest of this tonight. I normally go to bed around midnight. It's 9. I have enough time, and then I will have read 2 books for today. 10:45, finished the last story, so I finished my 3rd book. Hell yeah. This one was cute. This one was about a woman who loses her job, boyfriend breaks up with her, rent is raised, and through the magic of the magical cookies, the town mayor, who she has gone to high school with and has always kind of had a crush on, he's sort of a Ben Wyatt type, if you will, offers her a job to host and run and put together the Halloween parade that the town throws every Halloween, and in doing so they have a really natural progression into dating and falling in love. Yes, it is a snappy fast timeline for that. The second one was the only one that wasn't super duper snappy into the place that they get to by the end, but I really enjoyed this. You get to see some of the characters from the first anthology, some of the characters here. It was Halloween-y, it was very cute. We got 3 days left. I have read 3 books, I got 4 left. It's going well now, but who knows. Let's take food haul check. I have my coffee. Okay, so I'm going on a road trip, as I've mentioned a million times, so I wanted to buy very few things. And I have not been enjoying cooking ever in my life, so this is where we're at. Okay, so Cheetos, I bought this because I was in self-checkout when I saw them and I said, I want Cheetos. I had a conversation recently with an 8-year-old and we were talking about Cheetos, and I'm like, I want Cheetos. I'm really not a huge dessert person, weirdly enough. I used to be. As I've gotten older, I like occasionally really crave chocolate cake, or I will have like a little bit of dark chocolate. So I rarely am on that ice cream life very much. But I wanted frozen kind bars, but they didn't have them, so I went with this, basically the same thing. I got a muffin for Friday morning. I have one of these a day, because I really like caffeine and cola. And I've been on a Pepsi kick. I was always a Coke girl, but now I'm gonna be a Pepsi girl. Finally. These are melatonin gummies because I slept like crap last night. Thank you for coming. Please don't judge me. What am I reading? Well, I started The Witch Haven last night. Didn't tell you all about it. Cheeky girl. I'm not very far into it, and I wasn't really enjoying most of it, like what I was reading, because it was reminding me so much of Les Mis, specifically the Anne Hathaway storyline, and I was like, oh god, I don't like this. And then it took a fun turn, and it's falling into a trope I really enjoy, of like a historical fiction where a girl who has a lot of problems and no prospects is picked up and saved by a secret society of women. So that's what's happening, and I'm enjoying it. So because I can't make a decision for myself sometimes, on this day 3 of this challenge, I was between two audiobooks. Both are too long for this challenge. Honestly, I really needed an audiobook that if I listened to it in double speed could get done in like 4 hours. But whatever. So I had two options. I texted my boyfriend and asked him to pick between the Sparrow Sisters, a novel by Ellen Herrick. These are both on Scribd, which apparently has big fall vibes. I mean, look at it. It's got 3 leaves, orange, red leaves on the cover. And Truth or Beard, Winston Brothers Book 1 by Penny Reed, which was on a bunch of like Halloween romance lists. So even though it's 13 hours, it'll probably be pretty fun and quick. But it is 13 hours. But that is okay. That is alright. I'll update y'all when he answers and picks what I'm reading. My boyfriend got back to me. I'm going to listen to the Sparrow Sisters, which I kind of wanted to happen because it was the shorter of the 2 audiobooks. But his reasoning, quote, "The Beard one had a shit title," end quote. He's not wrong. So I'm gonna listen to this. I don't know a lot about it. It's been touted as similar to Practical Magic, and we all know I love Practical Magic, so I feel like I'll end up enjoying it. And it's a different genre than the other books that I am reading. I'm trying to read different genres throughout the week, and this one's different, so we love that. I am over halfway through the Sparrow Sisters. I am listening to it at 3 speeds, so I'll be done soon. This is kind of cute. Point being, I'm hating it. I'm hating it. This is kind of just a real book club book pick, which I normally can kind of get behind, but this one's pretty problematic. It was touted as being like Practical Magic, despite the fact it is nothing like Practical Magic. The only thing that's similar is it's about 3 sisters who are witches who make magical remedies for the town. Except for they're revered in the town versus in Practical Magic where everybody hates them. Another thing that's an element in this book is like a medical doctor who's young and hot shows up, and the hot sister and him get together and they have like a really toxic relationship, and she keeps bringing up the fact that he got injured in the war and bad. Like, there is a death that happens. It's like the main conflict, because for most of this book it's really freaking boring. But then this shopkeeper boy who works with the women, and they're like the only ones in town who try to understand him, he's autistic and he dies. And for what? Like, for what? So I'm finishing this book because of this challenge and from sheer willpower. The only thing I can say that I like about it is I like the narrator. She's a really good narrator and her voice is really soothing, but I can't tell anymore because I'm listening to it at 3 speed. Hi, so I finished the book. It had a lot of problems. The idea of trying to do a modern Salem witch trial has been done so many times and better. So I would not recommend this book. Don't just randomly pick a book on Scribd because there are 3 leaves and you're like, sure, this is supposed to be like Practical Magic, because it's gonna disappoint me. What am I gonna do? I originally thought in my head, like, I'm only gonna have to read 2 books on one of these days. 7 books in 5 days. That would make sense, right? I read 1 yet on Monday, 2 yesterday, and I read 1 today. Like 2 days left. How is the math not mathing? Don't laugh at me. I'm aware of it now. Aware. But it's fine. I'm gonna have an ice cream now. I've developed a game plan for the next 2 days. I'm gonna finish reading The Witch Haven at some point in the next 2 days. It is fun, it's entertaining. I like the descriptions of the school that the main character is sent to learn more about being a witch, and I'm enjoying all of the very arc-like issues with formatting, which are kind of fun and make it sort of like a game. But I am wary of how young adulty it is, meaning that we're hitting some tropes, meaning that the main character doesn't have a personality yet. Okay, next. I'm also going to read Nightmares. I said I wanted to read a middle grade book. I might not have said it, but I thought it. And I've had nightmares since 2014. This is actually a signed copy that Mr. Jason Segel signed. Love that. And finally, for the last audiobook I want to read, Autumn by Ali Smith. I've always wanted to read an Ali Smith book. This is literally called Autumn. It fits perfectly. Hi y'all. I'm wearing a real outfit today because I have to go into work for a little while.
It's inside out. The dress is inside out. I figured it out.
Okay. Have I read any more? No. But I'll update y'all when I'm back. About something. 2 days, 3 books. 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 Okay. So I'm about like 42-45% of the way through the Witch Haven. It's tracking to be like a 2-3 star read for me. Like 3 stars I think as high as my rating is going to end up going. My main frustration is one, the world building doesn't feel deep enough. It feels like it's trying to be the diviners but without the depth of the diviners. And then 2, my main issue is I'm finding the main character to be falling into tropes that I don't like. She's falling into the trope of being this YA girl protagonist in a fantasy novel without much of a personality outside of the plot. It's frustrating because I read a lot of romance, and even when you don't like a romantic female main character, you understand her and she feels like a whole person. This girl feels like a whole person, but a whole person whose personhood is contingent on the plot. Overall, that's where I'm at. I'm finding the mystery to be very dry. The suspense isn't done very well. I'm hoping it gets better for the next 60% of the book, but I don't feel very hopeful about it. I finished Witch Haven. Did I like this book? Not really. Do I think it's bad? Half bad, half good.
I know I'm out of focus. I'm so sorry. Just bear with me. It'll be over soon.
It was very, very boring until the last 30%, and then the plot picks up. I liked the elements of inclusivity that are trying to happen in the historical fiction. I like the conversations, little ones here and there, about white feminism in this historical setting. I like the fact that we have little mentions of queer side characters, but everything interesting in this book was happening on the peripheral. The only interesting thing that was happening centrally was conversations about corruption and how power, even if you're trying to do what you think is right with it, corrupts. I thought that was interesting. The main character didn't really enjoy her, didn't really understand her purpose outside of the plot. Like at one point she even admits it, but y'all, that doesn't give you a pass for writing a boring character. I also didn't like the way she treats everybody. The romance here is bad. It is some of the most boring, unbelievable romance I have read. And the love triangle also is boring. It was just stale. Overall, this book is fine. If you like the concept of it and you are a big, big fan of YA fantasy that is just kind of a time, I would say give it a read, but it just didn't really work for me. Hi, it's Friday. I have not vlogged it all today because I've been doing a million work things, but we're here now. I finished Autumn by Ali Smith. This is a literary fiction, general fiction, I guess literary fiction because it kept being nominated for like the Women's Prize, I think. And it is about a woman who befriends an older man when she's young. He sort of like babysits her, and their relationship and the way he impacted her life. It's a very beautiful, meandering sort of book. It was kind of funny at times and sad. I really enjoyed it. I didn't always know what was happening, but I was like cool with that. Also, this audiobook had a really great narrator who was just so crisp and comforting. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. Definitely consider reading more Allie Smith and more books in this series because this was just really nice and pleasant and I enjoyed it. It's currently 3:14 and I have a lot of stuff I still have to do before leaving tomorrow. Mostly like cleaning and blowing up an air mattress because I'm gonna have a friend coming into town right after, and I just have a bunch of stuff I have to do. So I don't think I'm gonna read Nightmares. I don't think I can just sit down and like read a 400-page book right now, even though it's middle grade. And I think I'm gonna listen to another audiobook, a short one, and I'm gonna go back on my word because in my least favorite books of 2020, I talked about a Seanan McGuire book in the Wayward Children series that I hated, and I said I will never read another one of these. But I'm going to read another one of them. I'm going to read the one that just came out, which I don't think is actually related to the other books, so I might end up liking it. And it will be a very short audiobook, and then I will have finished this challenge. So that's my plan. Cheeto mouth. I realized that I didn't explain why this was a fall book. I think this is a fall book because it's mystical and magical. And I think Seanan McGuire books feel like fall and wintry. That's what I'm telling myself. Also, I didn't realize this book was about a horse girl. I do sort of love that. I'm in my childhood bedroom. It is 7:51 with 9 minutes to go. I finished the 7th book. I finished Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. It's really interesting because I said earlier that I vowed to never read another book in this series, but I really liked this one. This one isn't related to the rest of the Wayward Children series from what I can tell. It's more of a standalone, and it's about a girl who is having a really hard time in school due to the fact that her like best friend, who's also like kind of evil, finds out that she's intersex and makes a huge deal out of it and is really horrible, and she runs away, finds a door, and then comes to this like really nice world. And very rarely in these books are the worlds like actually like pleasant, and I really enjoyed it. It was like minotaurs and unicorns and stuff. I thought it was really good. I liked the message of this book, and it still packed an emotional punch without it feeling really cold, which is normally how I feel about books in this series. They feel like they don't lack an emotional punch, and they feel really cold. So overall, very much enjoyed it. Now time for a wrap-up, y'all. I cannot believe I did this. 7 books in 5 days was tough for me. But, alright, let's do a bit of a wrap-up. I read Tide Song. I give Tide Song 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. I read The Bone Witch. I'd give The Bone Witch like 3.5 stars. Also very much enjoyed it. I read The Bake Shop at Pumpkin and Spice. I give that like 4 stars. Really enjoyed that experience. It was a lot of fun. I read The Sparrow Sisters. That was like 1.5 stars. Absolutely hated it. I read Witch Haven. Give that 2 stars. Didn't super enjoy it. Autumn, which I'd give 4 stars. Really enjoyed it as well. And then Across the Green Grass Fields that I just read, I give that 4 stars as well. So nothing that I like was in love with, but I read a lot of solid books and 2 that I hated. But that's kind of what happens. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun doing it. Let me know your thoughts on any of this. I love comments. Always feel free to write a comment. I love seeing them. Anyway, I'm gonna go on my road trip tomorrow morning, so I'll see y'all in a week or 2.